Hey guys, it's GHP and welcome to our first deck tech of Set 4, the Fall of Arch Report. Today, why is my laptop over here? We're going to be updating Scream. So we're not going to be bringing it down and building it on camera, and the reason for this is we did that on stream today. We worked on this deck where I was going to play for Casual Friday tournament, which if you aren't currently checking out or are interested in more tournament tournaments, they are a phenomenal service who are doing tournaments every Friday. But I couldn't play this one after. Turns out some things came up. So, let's go through the deck. We're going to talk about some new cards and then talk about specific numbers. So the new cards in the deck are Crunch, Grenadin Merchant, and Cull the deck. Everything else has been used in previous Scream decks before, at least excluding the Market, which has Rindra's Choice. Let's talk about each one. Crunch is a card that I think a lot of people read, and realize this card is very good. 3/3 Yeti with Overwhelm, Infiltrate, draw 2, and then discard a card. So it's basically strategize with upside in this deck. If you discard a spell or attachment, Crunch gets Berserk. So this is just another Gorgon Fanatic-like card. One thing to note is it's a lot better against tokens, where it doesn't trade with the Grenadin drone, and all the time where people block it made with their 2/1 Deadly Merchant, I still get the effect, and I draw cards. All this deck wants to do is to draw more cards to its opponent, and then kind of burn them out. That's kind of how these Scream decks works, at least in the headshot machine style, as we call these, which is when you Scream something and then Dark Return it repeatedly, like a Rindra for massive chunks of damage. So Crunch is a card that has a decent body, a 3/3 for 3 with Overwhelm, and the effect is really good. So one nice thing about this is it doesn't feel as bad to actually run this out in the Scream Mirror. Yes, if your opponent casts Madness on turn 3 and gets this effect, it could kind of suck, but it's a lot better than losing your Gorgon Fanatic, which also then goes to the Void, which is nice. But this also helps your beatdown plan, as Gorgon Fanatic does go to the Void when it hits. This one could just keep beating down, which sometimes is what you want. I think this card is an all-star in this deck, and I can't see myself registering the Headshot Machine without 4 Crunch in it anymore. This has essentially replaced any other 4-drops. So someone was playing Torgov, someone was playing Caleb. I think this is just better than all of those cards. And yeah, I think this card's just been an all-star. I'm super impressed with this card. And it's one of the reasons I've had such an absurd record with the deck, which I probably should mention. We're currently 26-4 with this deck. And I don't see that changing. A lot of the games are not close. Alright, let's look at Grenadin Merchant. So this is a 3-mana 2/1 Deadly. That's a pretty shitty stat line, but it does trade on defense. You may choose a card from your hand and swap it with the shadow card in your market. So of course we built the market of all shadow cards because we're only playing the Shadow Merchant. But this is great because sometimes Scream has problems with cards like Sensor Type, for example. And the Merchant allows you to play a main deck answer to those cards without then drawing them and going, well, this annihilates crap. You can actually just put them in the market. Now, I'm not saying this market is perfect yet. This is the part that needs to be worked on the most. But for example, we have Annihilate. We have this answer to Titan, for example, that we can actually use. And that's nice, because sometimes you just lose to a card like Titan, and being able to fetch up an answer, or the board stalls and you need that Madness to kill your opponent, we could just always have access to it. You could play your 7th copies, basically. So now let's talk about the other card, Cull the deck. So this is here over Quarry. And I think this card is better than Quarry. Now let me explain. Quarry does put something in the yard, and it discards 1. But seeing more cards in a deck like this is basically a combo deck, where what it's trying to do is get this critical mass of certain cards together. Then seeing more cards is the best thing you could be doing. This card's better than Strategize or Quarry, in my opinion, this type of deck, simply because it sees that 3rd card. Seeing 3 cards just gets you deeper into the deck to where you find your next combo piece, your next Scream, your next Dark Return. And overall, I think this card just, it does too many things well for me to want to exclude this, and seeing more cards than Quarry makes it better than Quarry, in my opinion. Let's talk about our market briefly. I want Dark Return sometimes to get cluttered in your hand. I've considered going down to go down to 2 Dark Return, and I likely will. Probably play the 3rd Devour, but that's not a certain thing yet. But you don't always want to have all the Dark Returns in your deck, and sometimes you could just go, well, I need another threat with this Merchant, and Dark Return back your Rindra or something. Rindra's Choice is probably just here for flexibility reasons. It hasn't came up very often yet. Being able to answer something like an Island's Intervention, Island's Choice is really nice. And then there's units that cause you problems sometimes, like Kothon or Tavrod or Hard the Vault, that you're very happy to hit with this card. I think this is the worst card in our market, and I can see this card going. Annihilate's here for cards like Sensor Titan, and the new Teacher of Humility, which I think that card's going to get nerfed. Cards like that, this is here for. Madness is just here because you want it. There's so many games you're like, I just have the other combo piece, I just need a Madness. Well, now you can have more copies of Madness. And Setback is here for tokens, or if you know you could get your control opponent, you know, you get their Lightning Strike, their Choice, their Harsh Roll, whatever you really want to hit. And Grenadin Plus, it just has that bonus against tokens. Now, let's talk about the rest of the deck, the cards that you've seen before. I'm not going to talk about the power base a ton, but basically because we don't want to play Seek Power, we already want to play 12 Crest, we can just afford to have a power base that has no sigils. Plus you get bonuses for the Waystones. Playing 4 Combust, 3 Madness plus the one in here, and 2 Devour as our Madness package. A Grenadin drone to help enable with the Devour plus Combust. Gorgon Fanatic is a 4 because it's needed. 4 Observers because we are a version that isn't entirely a Beat-Down deck. We're not like Halted Highway. So we do want to bin stuff like Gorgon Fanatic instead of casting them. And try to force it through a Queen. A lot of times you just want to bin it and scream these cards. Rindra's here because it's the best thing to scream in the late game. Basically, screaming this card plus Dark Return to get repeatedly is a burn spell basically, and it's really hard to interact with sometimes. 2 Permafrost. The removal slots in this deck are a little bit flexible right now, and I think Permafrost just being a cheap, efficient answer that you can play in the early turns or in the later turns while still developing cards is worth it. I'm talking about Dark Return, Torch because I need early interaction, 4 Scream because we need it, and yeah, that's kind of, well, we need Scream, we're playing Haunting Scream. So that's the breakdown of the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed this part, and now, let's go jump into 5 games and hopefully continue with our absurd record.